OTGWG. Macklin Celebrini is HOTTOGO. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Oh, what a night for Sharks hockey. We'll break this one down. We'll talk about this classic rivalry and how it showed up again in this edition of Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, Sharks fans and hockey fans all over the world and in Sharks territory. The Sharks win in overtime 5-4 over those Detroit Red Wings. We welcome you to this edition of Teal Town After Dark, your live interactive Sharks postgame. So if you want to be part of the show, chat with us and fellow hockey fans all over the world in Sharks territory on the YouTube page or the app. Please follow us on all your social media garbage, as Landi likes to put it, including now Blue Sky and Twitter and Threads. We GIF on all three platforms for the most part, and find everything at tealtownusa.com. And if you want to support the pod, do so via Venmo at tealtownusa, or hit us up on a super chat if you're watching us live. And if you're watching us on the replay, leave a comment down below and tell your friends. All right, with that being out of the way, it's been forever and 3 days, Landi. Where the hell have you been?
You can't take me hard to go. Now that freaking earworm is going to be in my head, you bastard. Where have I been? Well, 3 weeks ago I was in Japan, and I was doing some work out there. And then from there, I trekked back to San Diego for a good 24 hours, and then was in another airplane on the way to Vancouver. And then from Vancouver, I made my way to Calgary and then back home. So it's been a little bit of a trek, but I am home finally. And as you can see, I'm not in my office as normal. I'm in my mother's study. So,
That's a nice study. Still wondering where the laundry is, but
Yeah, well, I mean, there's an ironing board back there, so it kind of harkens back. Yeah,
We'll make it work. We'll make it work. It's good to see you, my friend.
Hey, but you know what? The kids are all right.
They're not bad.
They're all right.
And neither are the veterans. Let's be honest. A couple of them. Let's leave it at that.
Let's not go too far.
Yeah, we're not going to get too cray.
Yeah, but if I had the ability to play "The Kids Are All Right" by the Who, that would be the little jingle right now, because man, oh man, we saw development in Eklund last year. We saw that. We saw a player maturing before our eyes last year. This year, I feel like it's that plus, like, how Bugs Bunny eats his carrots and then he's like super Bugs Bunny. Like I feel like that's this year, insofar as how I'm watching the newer kids mature. And then not only to mention that, but plus add another year of Zetterlund and Eklund and Granlund being together. I'm excited. And it's a good foundation to what the team is going to be going forward, and it might not be a superstar number one line as of the big man whose number is going to get put up in the rafters next week, but if you can have a Smith Celebrini line, be your number one line, and you have a Zetterlund Eklund number two line, I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad, and it's a good place to start around. And you also have some more kids that are sitting in the well too, that who knows how long they'll need, but you could add some really interesting pieces there. So all in all, this season, I've always seen as a stepping stone. And I think, as we saw in that last road trip, a stepping stone back to 500 hockey on a road trip, which we haven't seen in a very long time.
Yep.
And playing entertaining and good hockey, dare I say it. I mean, you don't question this team's effort right now, which, I mean, how long has it been since me and you have sat at a after dark and said, I don't question the team's effort right now. Yeah, they might make mistakes,
Right.
and yeah, there might be some subpar play, but I'm not questioning effort right now. They're playing for war, and not only that, they're playing for their goaltenders, and I think they're starting to coalesce a little bit. Now, again, this is against the Detroit Red Wings, a team that, has been false started, and, they are where they're at right now. So I think you take everything, in a vacuum, but where we're at this season, I'm way more optimistic than I was at the same point last season. If we're talking about quarter point and being just invested in the games again and not looking at them and being like, okay, how bad are we going to lose tonight? Instead, I'm pleasantly surprised when this team battles back. I'm pleasantly surprised when they actually, give a damn and, might see a 3-0 lead from the other team, but they're like, hey, we got nothing to lose. Let's just keep building and building. And, last year I really stressed trying to learn those lessons and trying to learn hard lessons. This year, I think it's even more so with the new kids coming in. But I think now we're at the point where, okay, yes, lessons still need to be taught, but let's go out there and have some fun now. Let's be creative. And I'm seeing that with Macklin and Smith being on the line together. And I'm seeing some really high level play there from those two together. I don't know. Just some overall thoughts so far at the quarter point. I know we got a game to break down. Let's do it.
Good night, everyone. We'll see you later. See how long he's been gone, folks.
Man, I had that pent it up, man.
Feel good to get it out now. I mean, come on. Oh man, yes, it's so nice to talk about a Sharks win. Let's be honest here, but let's pull back all the way back to 7:30 and let's break this one down. Sharks come in, with that 500 road trip. Granted, they had lost 3 in a row. But a 500 road trip. They lost to Pittsburgh in a shootout 4-3. Blackwood in net after stopping the most saves, I think, in a relief appearance since 2011. Toffoli, 6 of the 14 points in the third period. 3 of them were lead changing. I mean, there's that. Detroit was hoping to avoid the California sweep. They had lost to Anaheim 6-4 and LA 4-1, but they got into it early.
It's been a long time since
we've heard that one,
Death
right?
Valley, since Death Valley, California. That was what it used to be called, the Gauntlet. And
the California Gauntlet, man.
And that's I think me and you both, not only do our hockey ties lie in so far as our Sharks, but locally, but I think also on a state level, we love to see California hockey be represented. And to me, that's when the NHL is making its best new fans, especially Sunbelt type fans or new fans. When the trifecta of the California teams are on the rise, it's fun. So hopefully that bodes well for all 3 of us doing well. Let's see them again.
Preferably more on the Sharks side, of course, but
of course.
I know what you mean. Things would get going crazy early for the Sharks. Like 4 minutes in, they were out shooting Detroit 6-0, which of course means one thing and one thing only: Detroit would get the first goal of the game. Dylan Larkin doing his thing.
But they came out. But let's talk about the 6 shots, though. I mean, the Sharks came out on their skates. You know, they came out looking to play and force the pace of play, and it was just a fluky type goal that Detroit was able to get. But I thought that the team start was very good. I did not have a problem with the team start tonight coming out of the gate.
No, they looked really solid. They played fairly well. It just sucks that that Detroit gets the first goal. Larkin, his 11th. It was Wallman was trying to clear the puck around, and it just went right to Edvinson, and he fed Larkin. Nothing he can really do with that. 1-0. Sharks will get a power play after Petrie gets called for holding. William Eklund, who I thought probably was the out of all the forwards, and there were a lot of good forwards out there tonight that you can make an argument for. He was probably the best one. He gets the first one going to the net, and I love the Selly over there to make it 1-1 from Wenberg and Wallman there.
Yeah, I mean, it's no denying why War put them back together. The Lund line, they just have uncanny ability to play off of each other very well. They know where they're at kind of in each other's space. They know when to activate. They know when to I think that subtlety on their forecheck, I think is also very underrated on that line. And it's almost like Zetterlund and Eklund make up for Granlund's lack of foot speed, and you don't notice it as much, because I think that was a very big problem with Mikael Granlund, and I think that's always been kind of a knock on him, is just his skating. He's always had good hands because he's always played with very skilled players, but the knock on him has always been him trying to get into the zone, and having two speedy forwards like Eklund and Zetterlund with a guy who can, calculate at a high level, and he makes good plays and is responsible in his own zone. Those two can just play free and play with a sort of reckless abandonment and some creativity.
Yep.
And it allows them to kind of grow up with a safety blanket around them, a defensive safety blanket. And I think that's why that line works so well.
Yeah. No, it really does. I like the creativity of Celebrini and Smith going too, but that Lund line. I mean, I know you guys wanted that 70s line to happen again, but you know what, man, it's tough to pass up how the Lund line has been doing. Well, it's just been really, really nice to see. Granlund's been just freaking beast mode in the contract year, of course. But but Zetterlund's been doing his thing, and for Eklund, I mean, we'll get to his second goal, but that's just his third and fourth goal of the season. He's been an assist machine. I mean, pretty much.
But that goal, Eric, I want to go to it. Just the relentlessness and the stick-to-itiveness that we've seen with Eki this season. It's almost like with Celebrini and Smith coming on the scene, he's almost played with, like, I won't say a chip on his shoulder, but almost like, don't forget about me too.
Yeah.
Like he's had some really explosive games, and you see where where Celebrini and where Smith have raw potential, and you can see fundamentals of good players there. Eklund is a guy that is now starting to actualize, which is kind of fun because it's a little bit different in the development curve, which is nice because you have layers of development. So you've got Zetterlund and Eklund who are almost the same age. They're paired together. They're able to play off of each other. So again, that's in one part of the development curve. And then you add Celebrini and Smith, which are similar age, similar place in the development curve. So again, I like that kind of layered effect the Sharks are doing here, and I think a little bit by design, a little bit by happenstance because of where Eklund kind of fell to the team. But
yeah, JT in the chat, Eklund is playing very smart. Also, kid is low-key elite in that regard. Yeah, I mean, and ID, the JC. First time I think I've seen you in here, so thank you for joining us. Eklund is elite PKer too, though, and that's a good thing. That is a really good thing. Have your game be all around. You don't need to have it just be one thing. And I think that's what the coaching staff and the organization is hoping for down the road. It may take some time. You look and see where Eklund has come in these first few years that he's been in the league. He had those 9 games where he came up, he had 1 assist, then he got sent back down, and we never forget that face when he had the presser and he's just like, oh, and he just started progressing, and now he's looking really solid there to make it 1-1. However,
his development, and let's not bury the lead here, because the Sharks have not always done well when it comes to developing a player and knowing when to put them back and when to keep them up. And I give them real props for the way they handled Eki, and I think now it's starting to pay off, and you're starting to see the dividends on how you're supposed to treat a high round, type player. So it'll be interesting to see with Smith, because I think we've seen his development be a little rough. I think we could all agree that his defensive game needs to be worked on, at a minimum. But I wanted to quickly go and circle around the line with him and Celebrini, because there were a few times, and I noticed this in the last game as well when they put those two together, where they've got these tic-tac-toe cross passes in the slot and down low. That is it. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Sedin twins, how they kind of had that low tic-tac-toe sixth sense where each other was, and you're starting to see that develop in some of these plays down low between Smith and Celebrini, which I really like. And that's the kind of subtlety that I don't think that he would get in the AHL were he to be there. So even though he has had his struggles, and we are talking about where he's going to be as far as development curve goes,
right,
having him play with Celebrini, I really do think is a good thing.
Yep.
And I think having those two together in the NHL is, again, they can grow and they can kind of struggle together, and they know that they're not alone, and they know that they're not, they both have really high expectations on them because of where they've been drafted. So they can kind of share that burden together. Whereas if it was just Celebrini, it would just be the spotlight would just be on him. Or if it was just Smith, it would be the same way, just the spotlight on Smith. So I do like this approach of where they're going. So I would say, let's say the course on those two. What I don't understand, though, is why is Toffoli not up on that line with those two?
Well,
I think that would be very good.
Right. It would be good. I think they want, one, spread out the offense to have Toffoli kind of be with Wenberg for a little bit. 2, I think they've really kind of wanted to have like a little bit of a thumper on the line, just in case,
because Goody's like playing the Chloe role, right?
Right. And the thing is I know I've said this many times on the shows, but I know they had Costin up during the preseason with Celebrini and Toffoli. I think you have Goodrow, and Molasses is kind of touching it year 2. Toffoli isn't exactly that great defensively. Goody has a bit of a scoring touch, so you can kind of do that a little bit.
TLBT, I mean, I don't think you're seeing things here. I mean, if I was looking a little bit at the ice time spreads, and I mean, no 4 were parked more than 18 minutes worth of play, and that was between Granlund and Celebrini. So I'm saying that's a win across utilization. The lowest ice time was Grundstrom at 8 minutes. So you want to see some more out of there. Klim Kostin at 9:29. But Luke Kunin, I mean, he clocks in almost at 12 minutes, which is, I mean, that's a lot for where he's at in the lineup. So again, I think it's got good. I'm not too displeased with the utilization there. Ice time on the back end, similar story.
There's
Henry
kind of
Thrun.
yeah. I was gonna say forward wise. Sorry to jump in,
Yeah, go for it.
but there isn't that massive imbalance. I think the other night Celebrini had like 22 minutes, and like Costin and Grunstrom had like 5. Yeah, there's 8, but that gives time for Celebrini to do 18. You're not overpouring these guys because, again, it's part of why there's a Will Smith maintenance day, is that you don't want to do too much, to them, because you don't want to overdo these, especially when you got a back-to-back coming on later this week. So,
Yeah.
but defensively, you were going to say.
Oh, yeah, defensively, on the defensive side, I mean, Jan Ruda coming in at 14, 34, and Henry Thrun at 13-14. I mean, so again, pretty good utilization across the board on the defensive side too. So I'm not too displeased there either. I think we got a couple good ones in the chat. Vincent, Vincent bringing up that, Toffoli, would Toffoli be on the trade block? And
Nope.
Honestly, right now, I think that you need to have a competitive team in order for these kids to grow up the right way, because we saw Eklund on a losing team and that was not fun, right? This is completely different. This is a team that's got some good flow. It's got, it's competitive. It's not going to break the bank. I mean, even let's say if you wanted to be real, real conservative and re-sign Mikael Granlund. I mean, that's not going to cost you all that much. You know what I mean? And not only that, but they're flirting with the floor anyways. So,
and the other part too is that they're going to have to make some money, because if that cap does go up more than 92 million, like Elliot Friedman was saying, maybe upwards to maybe 97, you're going to have to pay these guys. Some of them richly deserved. I mean, doing what Granlund's been doing what Zetterlund's been doing, you're going to be paying those, and that might be the extra money that you use to get these guys in the. But nonetheless, you have a 2-1 deficit going in. The Sharks kind of get into penalty trouble again. Wallman has an interference call, but just a few seconds later, the Sharks take a hella dudes penalty. Shout out Shalana Goldman. We miss you. We love you. Casper gets his second from Gustafsson and Tarasenko about a minute and a half before the period ends, and it's 2-1 after that. Sharks would come back in this seesaw battle, and Eklund with his fourth from Ferraro and Zetterlund to tie it up at 2-2. And then, of course, the probably the rough spot of the night, the Rasmussen own goal. I think frickin' Wenberg was trying to get it out. Rasmussen gets a tip of it. It goes off a Thrun skate and in. And you're thinking, oh, here comes the bad luck Sharks again, Landy.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's tough. I mean, I see what Thrun's doing there. He's picking up his skate because he's trying to arch his blade so that the puck doesn't get knocked in, but instead he inadvertently knocks it in, puts it on a trajectory for the net even more so. So tough, but I think there is a perfect illustration as to why you don't want to pull out the puck in front of your net when you don't have to.
Exactly.
And, you don't, in that particular instance, you don't need to make that play there. There's a relief valve in the defenseman that was just on the boards, or you skate through the back of the net and you go through the body. Yeah, there's an incoming forechecker there, but at least you take the puck out of a high danger area. Instead, you try to make a play in which there's more possibility for either A, the goaltender to misread it and misplay it, B, it come off your defender, as we saw there, or C, get intercepted by an incoming forward from the other team. So in that position, it does not behoove you to skate the puck in front of your net like that, and especially bring it up the side of the net like he did. So,
Yeah.
um, again, it's tough on. I don't put that on Thrun, and it's tough on tough on Blackwood there. But no, that's on Wenberg.
Yeah,
Really.
it's a tough one either way because you're thinking 3-2. This how that's so Sharks. Their luck with happen. However, it changed in the final minute. Tyler Toffoli, doing Tyler Toffoli things. He gets his ninth of the season. Wasn't the third period. It was the end of the second, and what that means because the game was tied 3-3. That means you not only get tacos, you're also getting pizza. So Toffoli,
Four in the net, pizza you get.
it used to be, but that's the final 10 minutes of the second period, you get a slice of Bebo's pizza, and then because it was the third goal, you get 3 tacos. I mean, thank you, Tyler Toffoli, for feeding. I think about
But
11,000 fans
but
tonight.
yeah. Well, first off, Guten Morgen, Hank. But
And
honestly,
Ingo,
though,
by the way, sorry, I didn't mean to. I sorry I had to jump in. Very nice. The Sharks went overtime. I'll watch the replay later. Good morning from everyone from Germany. Good to see you. This is why we do it because this is worldwide.
oh
Go
yeah,
on, Landy.
yeah. No, look, I mean, Toffoli got called out a little bit, and got demoted, got taken off from Celebrini, and they put Smith together with Celebrini, and that was at the expense of Toffoli. And what has he done? He's gone down and he's added some really nice scoring touch to that third line. And all of a sudden now, as we talked about a little bit before, this is a team now that can roll 3 lines and have a credible scoring threat on each of those 3 lines.
Yep.
And we're not even talking, I mean, we're talking with Nico Sturm out, right? So when
Yep.
you have Nico back in and you have everybody kind of at full capacity here, it's a nice luxury to have Toffoli sitting there on your third line. It does suck that he's on that third line. I do wonder again, could he be better served by placing him with Smith and Celebrini? I don't know. I don't know that you want to mess with what they've got going on at the moment. But that being said, I really have liked what Toffoli has brought to the game. And if the mojo wasn't so great on the forward lines for the first top 2 lines, I don't know that I would mess with it. So again, he's kind of in a precarious position there,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's doing things. I mean, he's definitely getting more power play time, of course. But Toffoli with the tying goal, 3-3. We go to the third period where Luke Kunin gets a nice pass from Grunstrom in his limited time on the ice. Does things. Kunin picks it up, just shoots it, and it kind of reminded me of the Granlund goal the other like a few nights ago, where he just picks it up and then just quickly puts it on net and beats Talbot. That gave the Sharks a 4-3 lead about 6 minutes into the third.
Let's talk about that one real quick, Eric. I mean, let's talk about actually having some forwards, actually having a little bit of depth and creating some competition.
Yep.
Dare I say it? And so now when you got a Luke Kunin coming in, he's got a little bit more of some jet in him because, he wants to stay up and wants to stay on, stay playing. That's not a bad place to be. I mean, that's 180 degrees where we were last year, where shit, it was the guy factory. You know what I mean? And just a complete rotating cast of characters just to get you through the season. Now all of a sudden people are playing because they want to play. I mean, people are showing some jam because they want to play. So that's pretty cool. That's good to see. And a guy like Luke Kunin, right? I mean, he's going to have to continue to produce and continue to play physical in order for him to keep a spot on the team and keep a spot playing on the active roster. I mean, and so far as on the active on the 12-man.
Yeah. Patrick saying Detroit's problem finding off his scoring goals and getting shots. You know, they even said on the broadcast
5-on-5.
Yeah, that's been a tough one. However, on the
Yeah.
power play, where they're the fourth best in the NHL, you don't want to give them
Oh.
any more power play chances.
Oh my
Like
gosh. I
Ty
mean,
Landry did with about 5 minutes to go, and the Brink
talk
kid.
about playing with fire, man.
Oh gosh,
Oh, I mean, very, very, very fun to watch that power play. And not fun to be a Sharks fan because it almost had that sense of inevitability, like, they were coming on, especially in the first part of that power play that they had. They could have easily scored, but I think, they had to come back in and kind of work at it a little bit. So, yeah, Sharks in that situation need to clean up their play, and, you can't be pissing away leads, especially with a team kind of building itself up. That's not a good habit to have.
no. I think that was the Wings went 2 for 4 in their power play tonight. The Brink kid getting the rebound after Ferraro blocked it. I mean, good effort there. Nothing you can do. I
mean, I'm not in love with the rebound control. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, if out of the goals tonight, like, I think if you asked Blackwood, that would be the one he would probably tell you he would have loved to have diverted that in the corner. But again, I mean, his defense isn't buying him any drinks there. No. They're not bailing him out. So, tough.
But the forwards did and played fairly well here, and in overtime. Granlund feeds Celebrini. Celebrini just comes to the net, scores a beauty. If you follow Kevin Mystery on Twitter, and I'm not sure if he's on Blue Sky yet, but he has some great pictures of the game-winning goal and the celebration from the Sharks and Celebrini. His 4th of the season. Just freaking spectacular here. I think looking at some of the previous comments. By the way, and I'm so sorry, Jerry F. My son and I are celebrating Celebrini tonight. Thank you for your super chat as always. Love you, buddy.
Long time.
And speaking of Granlund, JT saying Granlund has great possession, so the speedsters can zip around him, get into good spots, and that's kind of what happened with the game winner here, Landy, with on this one tonight.
Yeah, look, Granlund is playing that elder statesman role for this team. You know who he reminds me of? He kind of reminds me of Damphus. And remember how Damphus kind of shepherded some of those younger Sharks on that team, and really, took the load off there. So I don't know, maybe a little bit of Damphus, maybe a little bit of the Wizard as well, or the Professor. Sorry, but yeah, I feel like he is playing that role very well, where he knows his limitations, able to play within his limitations, and able to make his teammates better because he can kind of play within within that window of what his line mates need. He doesn't have to play a speed game because he doesn't need to play a speed game.
No, it's the finesse, and like JT is saying, good call on Damphus. That's kind of how it was, whether he was with Friesen and Nolan, whether he was with Solani, whether he was with Patty, in all those years,
specifically Pim and Patty, right? And kind of shepherding a young Patty. That's what it brought, kind of it's reminding me of, or with, like I said, with Larionov, but again, just kind of harkens back to that age of Sharks where it was kind of that weird mix of old veterans and young kids. And we kind of have that here where, you kind of have this super young, you skew like the youngest couple of forwards in the league, and Eki and Zetz are pretty on the young side too. And then, you you have the juxtaposition of Cody CC, Mark-Edouard Vlasic, and freaking, Mikael Gradlund. So, it's interesting, and Tyler Toffoli as well. I think let's not bury the lead here on Tyler Toffoli. I think
True.
he's also done a very good job shepherding those players, and I think the Sharks are putting those two in the best position to thrive that they can with what they've got. And I don't think they could do it any better than they're doing it now. I don't want them to subtract from this team. Just kind of keep it frozen unless you're blown away by something. And we can get a little bit of that going over, but I think for right now, I just want to see this team kind of be set and see where it goes.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is you want to see what you have right now, because are they a long term, or are they short term? Are they trade bait? I mean, that's the other thing too. We'll see how that goes down the road. But for tonight, Celebrini with the game-winning goal, Eklund with a pair of goals. The future is Teal. I mean, let's be honest. Askarov, we even talk about Askarov, and that was probably the big story coming into tonight, was his call up because Vanacek is hurt. Sturm is on IR, so that's why he can come in, and that'll be, Jimmy. And let's be honest here. We saw Vlasic at the morning skate this morning, so I really can't wait to see what this team looks like with 39 and 44 in the lineup. I doubt we see 39. He hasn't even come back to the ice. Hope he's okay. So we'll see on that. Granlund should be long-term. He's a vet that brings a lot to the team. Dink Groen. With it, ID to JC, I feel like CC, Granlund, and a goalie are deadline trades. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, that's the big debate right now, right? I mean, does Granlund provide more value on the team shepherding these players, or does he provide you more value and assets? And that's going to be dictated by the market. I don't think that's going to be an equation that Mike Grier. It's going to come down to, okay, he's going to have X amount of time here. He's maybe got 1 or 2 years left, maybe 3 years left before he wants to hang him up. But he's closer to the end of his playing career than he is at the beginning of his playing career, right? So I think it's all going to be that return on investment. If you can get, let's say for instance, a team comes up to him and gives him a young, up and coming offensive defenseman and a pick. I mean, I think you would really stop to think and consider that, because that is an area of weakness where the team could really, use some more depth. So if you're gonna go that route, I really do think you have to, because you're trading from a strength of position with where Granlund is right now, you have to maximize that return. Because if you don't maximize that return, then what's end up going to happening is you're going to be missing that piece shepherding Zetterlund and Eki, and then you could risk stifling the rest of the season for them. However, if you get a stud defenseman in the return for that, or an up-and-coming stud or a young stud defenseman, then you can kind of rationalize it to yourself, okay, it was worth a little bit of the pain. So, again, it's going to be an equation. It's going to be down to where the team is at, I think, statistically, but I think more so where the market is at with an expiring deadline like that, a trade deadline. Because let's face it, I mean, if we're going to trade him for a 3rd round pick or a 2nd round pick and a C level guy, or like an EHL, ECHL level guy, like I don't want any part of that. I think he's worth more to the team than that. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. Goaltender, I think right now you have a little bit of a logjam, but I don't know what you're going to get with Vanacek. I mean, he's played well, but the injury injury concerns with him. So I want to have somebody with Askarov because I don't want to just dump that all on him. So it's nice to have a backup there. So I think right now you just kind of have to stand pat with the goaltenders, unfortunately.
Yeah. And that's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with standing pat. You have three goalies. You know, one of them is going to go after this season or before the trade deadline. I mean, that's totally fine. I mean, nothing wrong with that at all. You know what the future is, and it's Yaroslav Askarov, who I would think is going to get one of these games either in St. Louis or Detroit or Dallas this coming week as the Sharks go out on the road after a long one-game homestand. They go out back out to the Midwest, and head scratcher indeed, because you had to get the game in for Detroit, and then now you fly back out to the Midwest. I just God, but overall, a solid win. Molasses. No, the future is Dell, Eric. Nice try. Nice try.
You're smoking a little bit of what Dank is putting out there, I think. Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about Askarov. I think you're right, Puck Guy. I think we should see him, and I think he's earned the right to play. I mean, he has played so well in the AHL, and he's really taken that assignment really well, and I give him so much props. He's got a good attitude. I really hope that because Naby, is Russian, there's that Russian factor there. He can kind of shepherd him culturally that way. But let's give him a shot. Let's see what he's got. Maybe he can run with it. Maybe, this could be something fun to watch. And again, another piece to kind of add to the good vibes and again, a team where, I'm pleasantly surprised where they're at right now as far as, what's going on and their point streak and, how they're playing. So yeah, I mean, I think, what do you have to lose? I mean, he's earned it.
Yeah, he has. Although, like I put up polls on election night, and I think it was like 92% said let him marinate with the Kuhre, and I'm totally fine with that. Obviously, if you got injuries, you got to take care of that. I don't blame you on that part. So,
I mean, if you bring him up all the way up here, why not just see what you got? Yeah, that's what I say.
Sure, I nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, do you need him right now?
No,
No,
you don't need him.
no. That's why I say let the Kuhre cook and go for the Calder. I mean, I know Ian said on Pucknologist the other night, it's like, this should be a playoff team. May not be a Calder Cup winning team, but they can do some damage if they really wanted to. And so look at that. The Sharks with the victory get to 16 points in the standings. They sit 4 points out of a playoff spot for those keeping in check. Colorado currently has that at 20, along with Edmonton fighting out for that. But I mean, 6, 10, and 4 as Wednesday turns the quarter pole on the season already, and I mean, this team is a lot better. I mean, just looking at goal differential minus 21, I think it was just like overboard with with the how it was the year before. So
I mean, the year before at this point in the season, I mean, we were already, I mean, I think we had already had like double-digit losses, and you're just looking at, staring down just at how bad this team was, and just a team just no heart. But this team, a little different.
I'm going to get to some of the comments that are coming out of the locker room. Shang, thank you very much for them. Luke Kunin, I think this year, different than last year, than years past, we're never out of the fight. Eklund on Celebrini's game winner. If I can pull it up, because my phone just went away. There we go. Big moment for him and for us too. He's going to have a lot of those goals. That'd be something special there. Shang also mentioning Celebrini's voice seemed to be shaking when he was talking. I guess excitement over his first overtime goal, which I don't blame him. I love when we win. To get put in that situation, you want to come through for your team, especially after a couple misses in the shootout and stuff. To get that goal, it's good for the group. Somebody's talking like a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Look, yeah, I think if the team can get back to 500, let's just say if they can win 4 games, in the next little bit here, I think that this team is going to start to have a little bit of a spark of hope, and they're going to start to believe in themselves even more so than they're at now, because we're starting to see the little. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to see the little embers starting to percolate here, Buckeye.
And it kind of trails me back to the days of '94.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we were talking about Damphus and of Sharks of yesteryear, but I mean, remember how fast it was when that ember hit? I mean, it was, the year before was not great, and you took the regression back, and then the year after it started to be built back up again, and you started to see the team be a little bit more resilient and the team come back a little bit more and start to hang in there.
Vincent Alvarado, there can't be embers. We trade away Emberson.
But you know what I mean.
I know
you're starting to see evidence that the high picks are starting to or be worth it. That right. Pain that we went through is starting to be worth it. So
and like we said earlier, with Eklund, you think it's good now, wait till later. That's why I'm not getting on Will Smith as much about it, because just give it time. You look at Eklund, you look at where this team will be in a few years when you have Luca Cagnoni on the team. Sam Dickinson, who's tearing it up in London.
Oh,
and Haltonen, good to see him back with
Musty.
Musty's been on fire since he came back to Sudbury.
Bordy. I mean, I think that there's a player in there still.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, not to mention freaking Beestead. I forgot about Beestead. I mean, there's just you're starting to see the critical mass, and again, we all kind of sat here and said it's kind of going to be a gradual thing, but I also kind of parked it out there that once that the match kind of gets lit though, and then they start to believe in themselves and start to really believe that they belong in the NHL, then I think we can start to have some expectations. That's why I thought that this year was going to be so important as far as a building block. And I think next year is when the real competitive, when we can really start to feel that the teams will be more competitive, in the bottom third of trying to, fight for a playoff spot. But this team as it is right now, we're starting to see the little pieces of it. We're starting to see, good things start to be stacked one on top of each other, and that's the sign that you're coming out of it and you're pointing the ship in the right direction.
Right. ID the JC, kind of going with the point that we're talking about. We have so many incredible prospects on the horizon. Dickinson is rampaging. Musty's killing it now that he's playing pole camp. That's another kid, is
Yep.
outscoring William on Denver. Shakir too.
William, yeah.
I know Jules was excited for William, but taking Dickinson's looked really good. Camp has looked phenomenal. I know AJ loved him at the prospect scrimmage. Shakir's been a little iffy a bit, but he needs to get it going. But again, still early in the season. We're only at the quarter pole at this moment, Hank Vesuvius saying, I was bummed to see Halton gets into juniors. Kuhre seemed like the right place for him. I agree, but I think he's going to get better and more good playing time with London, and definitely going to help London try to get another Memorial Cup. Sorry, Ian. So
with Dickinson, him and Sam.
Yeah, and Vincent even saying Rimashevsky, quietly doing work in the KHL too. I mean, it's like a pot of water. It's going to start to boil a little bit, and when we get cooking, watch out, and it'll be great.
Yeah, I mean, and again, you're still down. You're still down Logan, which, I mean, all accounts say that he's going to try and come back. I don't know what that's going to look like, but you've got Nico Sturm, and you haven't had Macklin for a year yet. I mean, he's had 12 games where he's missed, because of injury. So, again, once you get the battleship kind of righted and full, it'll be interesting to see, just how much momentum that this thing can get. Because I think right now, it's interesting as it is. So if you just start to add pieces back to it, it'll make it even more interesting.
Yeah. Can't forget Colin Graff.
And JT asking where Jules is. She was at the game today.
Yes, yes. Vincent Graff slowly looking like a coup from Greer. Yeah, that looks like a good one. That looks like a really good one indeed. So, where's Jules lately? I know she was at the game tonight. She's been playing ball hockey, and I think I went to see her theatrical performance over the weekend. She's been busy, but don't worry. You're going to be stuffed of Jules. Well, no, that's probably not a good idea. I'm just saying Jules will be around starting on Wednesday. I think it's me and her doing that game, and then she'll be around a little bit, and she'll be, I think, around Saturday. We'll be broadcasting live from the tank for the Jumbo night, which should be fun.
Yeah, I'll probably be running shotgun over here, but yeah, I mean, the gang is back together.
Yeah, we're slowly getting back together. I might have a night off. Woohoo!
What?
I know. It's against podcast policy or something.
Yeah, you're not allowed to have a night off.
No, well, shut up. Just for that, now you got to buy a puck every time you go up to Canada for me. All right. With that,
it's not like I wasn't going to do that before.
Oh yeah, true. You know how much I'm gonna have to Venmo this guy soon? Okay. All right. With that, let's get on out of here. In case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or wherever you get your podcasts. The Apple, YouTube Music, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, Odyssey. I mean, some of those radio podcasts, I don't know how long they're going to be around at the rate that we're going with radio, but no matter what, we're going to be on YouTube. So make sure you hit that like button right now. Come on. I expect it. I expect a massive jump, people here. Get the word out about us, my friends. I mean, it's, we got
10,000, 10,000.
Yeah. Brody was wondering why we weren't at 10,000 subs yet. Yeah. Okay. But, keep it going, gang. We appreciate each and every one of you. And if you're watching us on the replay, of course, leave a comment down below of what you thought of the game this evening.
Or what you think of us.
No. Let's this not. No, really? You really wanted the trolls? Okay. Anyways, Landi,
I welcome the trolls.
Okay.
I welcome the trolls.
Robin, yes, she's like a Giants broadcaster. She's been on assignment. Yes.
No, that was me. That was me. I was on assignment.
Yeah, that's for sure. Both of you. Landi, your final thoughts before we fall asleep.
Yeah, final thoughts. fun to start talking about a team that is competitive again, and a team that has got some really fun pieces. And I just want to see them continue the good habits that they're fostering at the moment. And I think that this team, let the chips fall where they may, but if they continue with efforts like this, they're going to be on more winning side than losing sides.
Yep. And you can find him at Erik Landi, ErikLandi. Do you have a Blue Sky yet?
Not yet. I you know what? I was early to the Twitter, and with Air Elon, taking over.
Oh boy. Get moving on there.
Yeah.
I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter, the Instagram, and PuckGuy14.bsky.social on the Twitter machine. You can also find Teal Town USA on the Twitter and the Blue Sky, and of course also on Threads as well if you want to check us out there. We will be back with you on Wednesday for Sharks and Stars. It's a back-to-back where the Sharks will play in St. Louis on Thursday, and then Friday is the Legends game. Oh my gosh. The beauties that are coming out for this is something special, and I think the place is going to blow up when Joe Pavelski comes back out on the ice in San Jose wearing a Sharks uniform. I really can't wait to see that. But for Landi, yeah,
we miss you.
If you could, teach the kids how to tip, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So for Landi, I am Puck Guy. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. We will see you on Wednesday night following Sharks and Stars.